Hi, my name is Okolo. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my story. Boy, where to begin? I was a young lad, and no, I'm kidding. I was born in Washington, D.C. My mother was Elizabeth Clanton. They became Dr. Elizabeth Clanton, who got her PhD in psychiatric nursing mental health. My father is Gerald Allen Schwinn, born in Baltimore, Maryland. He is still in Washington, D.C. My mother's middle name, which I do believe was self-given, was Miriam. So that's my parents. Part of the story is that they were never married, and as far as I can remember, not in my recollection did they ever live together. But I grew up in a very loving environment. Both of them loved me very much, and I split time between them. So, it would be 4 days a week at one, 3 days at another, and then 3 days a week at one, 4 days at another. So it sort of alternated back and forth. And I did that for pretty much almost my whole life. There was no complaints. I had a wonderful childhood. One thing to state is my mother is black, or was black, African American. My father's white. And growing up, I just simply was black. There was no question about it. There was no comment about it. It was in D.C. There were people a heck of a lot more mixed with white than I was, that were considered black. So growing up in D.C., there was no issue. I was black. When it became an issue, well, not an issue, but when people started questioning me and wondering what am I went to Massachusetts, and then people would start to say, well, are you Latino? Are you Spanish? What are you? And then I would start to get, am I Arab? Am I Middle Eastern? I even get Sicilian, since I've cut my hair and they can't see that my hair is curly. I get Sicilian. So I get a lot of different things. When I was actually in Egypt, everyone spoke Arabic to me. And I had to almost apologize, like, I'm sorry. I don't speak Arabic. I just had a memory. I just had a memory of men passing me and saying what must have been Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you. That's the only thing I can think of that they were probably saying. And I didn't know how to respond at the time. I was a teenager, maybe 15 or 16 years old. I went there with my father. He went there on business. And we saw the pyramids. We saw the temple at Karnak, Amun-Ra's temple. And then we went from there over to the Dead Sea, I think, yes. We drove over to the Dead Sea. And then I think we finally, I think that was the trip we took. I don't have to double check that itinerary, double check with my father. But it was an amazing trip. So the other part of my story, let's see, childhood activities I did. Started skiing and playing the violin at age 3. Joined Boy Scouts. Took Taekwondo from the age of about 7. So I grew up playing the violin. I was in orchestras. Was in the DC Youth Orchestra. So there's a theme in my life that I should share now, and that is that I come 99% close to completing something, and then I don't. So I started my Eagle project, and then something happened, and I didn't finish my project. Now what happened is for later in this video, but I didn't complete my Eagle project. Another thing is I did not get my black belt in Taekwondo. I knew all the forms, I knew all the moves, I knew everything I needed to do from the karate standpoint, but one of the requirements was to also learn some Korean words. Taekwondo is from Korea, so I hadn't learned the words well enough, and I was really nervous about taking the test. So I told Master Kim, that was his name, 10th degree black belt, one of only a few in the world at the time. I told him I didn't want to take the test. So I watched the test instead of taking the test. And there were people up there that didn't know the Korean either. They didn't know the moves as well as I did. And what people did as a community is they rallied behind them and they fed them the words to help them get through the test. And to this day, I don't have my black belt. That was the black belt test. I would have passed. So, anyway, completing things is definitely a pattern. So, I know I have to go back and I have to get my black belt. I can't finish my Eagle project, at least not for scouting purposes. Maybe I could finish the project itself that we started, but it wouldn't necessarily be for Eagle Scout purposes. So the thing that I alluded to earlier that caused me to miss finishing my Eagle project is that I had a manic episode. So what that means is I am bipolar. That was my second episode at age 17. From age 17, very end of age 17, into the day before my 18th birthday. And then my first episode was when I was 15 years old, but they did not know what had happened. No, they did not diagnose me as bipolar. They didn't know what happened. Getting into the details of what a manic episode is like is for another video. That's not what this is about. This is just sort of a brief overview of parts of my story. So 15, 17, had a manic episode, had another one somewhere in early 20s. And then I had one again in 2009 after my mother died. So I've had 4 manic episodes, 4 hospitalizations, and with each one comes a fantastically unfun psychotic break. What that simply means is that you disconnect a little bit from reality. Now, here's the thing. Are you disconnecting from reality, or are you connecting to something else? I don't have that answer yet. But that is one of the questions that I have. So that's sort of background on that regard. Went to the University of Virginia, graduated with a double major in history and African American studies with a focus in African history on the history side. Got married, had 4 children, wonderful children. Unfortunately, got divorced. Currently with, as most of you probably know, Patricia Sunshine. So Karen and I had 4. Patricia has 6, so together, combined, we have 10. And in the very cliff-noted version, that's the story. Have a great day. Peace.